Today is Sunday, February the 23rd, 2020. I am Julie Hankinson, and this is the view out my window. It has been an absolutely gorgeous day today, nice and warm and clear. It usually is that way after a storm. It's like the earth has to recalibrate itself. Well, anyway, I made a bit of a momentous decision today. I work for the government and I have a thrift savings plan, and I moved all of my stocks over into government bonds, which really do not pay that much. However, they are government bonds and they are very secure. And despite the fact that the government, our U.S. government and China, are both printing additional money to bolster the stock market, I do believe that we are going to have a stock market correction. And that is the reason that I did move over all of my stocks to government bonds, because I truly believe that. We are beginning to see exponential growth in the cases of COVID-19, that's the coronavirus, outside of China. Meanwhile, we are already experiencing a supply chain disruption. And I think that we will see much more of this, to the point where even China and the U.S. running printing presses full time will not be sufficient to prevent a stock market correction. Whether it's going to be 10% or 20%, I don't know. But I did not want to experience that kind of impact on my stock portfolio. And I know some of you will be going, oh, but look at the growth that you have, missed out on. And I'm just, I'm sorry. This is what I believe anyway. And this is how I'm utilizing this information in my own life. I am, if you will, risk adverse, even though some would say you're risk adverse and you took a job and moved to Japan. And yes, I really do look at all the variables and make, I believe, rational decisions. Yes, there is an emotional element, the lure of actually living in the Far East and learning about the culture and experiencing the foods. And this has just been a fantastic portion of my life for the past 5 years. I have traveled to India and Australia and Singapore and Korea and exotic places that are not allowed by most of the populace, to have access to. But that was an experience that I have enjoyed, and it was well worth the risk to me. It was a fantastic financial opportunity, because the Department of Defense does pay all of your expenses when you're living overseas, which makes it an excellent opportunity for teachers or scientists like myself, or engineers, or any of the especially financial services, contracts, there are so many opportunities. And like I said, it's a really great opportunity to get to travel and explore while also um, reversing, your financial situation and doing a full 180, creating a financial future for yourself. And then to top it all off, it does count toward the public service, um, the student loan repayment plan. So you do know that with the public service forgiveness, that if you work for the government for 10 years, you do receive a full student loan write-off, and that you don't even have to pay the taxes on it, on that forgiveness. So for me, um, living in Japan for 5 years, student loans, that's counting toward my student loan forgiveness, as well as the government paying for my housing and utilities, and even a large portion of my food. Um, there wasn't much downside to this. I know people will say, oh, but you had to move away from your family. Well, family can always come visit me here, and you do get to go back to the States. Nobody's, saying you can't travel back to the States if it's, that important to you. Me, I wanted to travel, and I did. Um, and I did go back to the United States, for one of my son's wedding. And, I had a great time. But this was a choice I made, and I do not regret it. And if you have a need for a bit of adventure, or if you want to turn your finances around, I strongly recommend this. Working for the government overseas, it doesn't have to be for the Far East. It could be in Europe. Goodness knows, there's Italy, there's England, there's Germany, they've even got Poland now, for goodness sakes. They've got just about, there's so many opportunities to live and explore overseas. Well, I'll stop. I didn't mean to sound like a recruiting poster here today, because I was actually, as I said, planning for a recession, which may not occur this year, in which case I will have missed the upside for my portfolio, but I will feel so much better knowing that I have not risked this like I did. My TSP did take a hit the last time we had a recession, and I do not want to take that risk this time around. So yes, I'm being extremely conservative, transferring everything over into bonds. But again, as I mentioned in a previous broadcast, I'm preparing for recession, which for me means completely paying off all my debt, and also to spend less. So I'm not doing the total no spend year, but I am this year doing an extremely low spend for, items. And then also I am stockpiling food, because I do believe that we are going to have severe supply chain disruption in the very near future, especially starting in April, because we're having all of these cargo ships that are just at a standstill because of the lockdown in ports. And it will take a long time to recover from this disruption. It's not going to happen overnight. So I am stockpiling the products that I need for a good year. Right now I'm just working on having a good 30-day pantry, but also, putting away a few dollars in cash, because a good emergency fund is essential right now. We never can tell what we're going to experience, and it's best to have a bit of padding in order to confront these emergency situations, whether they're medical or we need to relocate for a job, or we need to be flexible about obtaining a new job. We really don't know what the next decade is going to hold for us. Again, as I said yesterday, these are turbulent times, and I think we are going to see a lot more disruption, not just politically, but also financially, and of course with the whole virus situation. So again, let's go back to the recalibrate. And I keep harping on this, but I really feel that for each of us it's different, but we do need to up-level our lives to be able to increase our skill set or our education or our pantry, just even if we're buying a few extra cans of food. We need to be able to increase our control in some way, so that as we move forward into these more turbulent times, we do have a measure of control and security moving forward. And we are not one of the victims. We are actually a survivor. And I do wish for everyone that is listening today that we would all, in the upcoming decade, increase our wealth and our prosperity and seize the opportunities that become available, and that we would all be survivors, and that we would thrive in these upcoming turbulent times. So I wish you all the best, and that you take care and do follow your own gut, your own intuition, your own logic, because each of us is coming from a different place, and we live in different places, cultures. We have our different biases, and you do need to, frankly, live within your own headspace, what you believe works best for you. So take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll talk with you all tomorrow. Good night.